Welcome back to Shoe Leather Faith. We're dealing with the issue of the creation, the things that are all around us. Before we get started on the material for today, let me encourage you to subscribe to this channel. If you like what I have to say, click the like button. If you don't like what I have to say, put a comment down below and let me know why you don't like it. If you think I'm wrong, you got a good shot at it, because I'm still fighting brain fog thanks to COVID-19. But today we're going to deal with the issue of dominion having. Now that's a clumsy sort of a word. It's been made up, and I didn't make it up. Somebody else did decades ago. But we have to look at what is the role of humanity. And in the Westminster Shorter Catechism, it states that our purpose is to know God and to enjoy Him forever. Well, that's true, but it's only part of the story. Why were we created in the first place, and why were we put on this planet? Years ago, a Christian educator stated that God created humanity because He needed somebody to love. Well, that's heresy. Plain and simple. God has never had any needs. He's not been lonely. He's not anxious to have somebody to love. He has everything He needs within the Trinity. He's never had any needs. He'll never have any needs, and He doesn't have them now. So that person who wrote that was speaking heretically. Don't ever think that God has needs, and that's why He created us, so we have somebody to love. We're not a warm puppy to Him. We were created in His image. So let's look at what I've found, and you evaluate it, and if you have comments, put them down below, and I will try to get back to you, because I tried to get back to one person who asked me a question, and I hit the wrong button. I'm blaming it on COVID-19 brain fog, which is handy. I don't know how long I'll get away with it, but I hit the wrong button. So if you're the one who asked me a question, would you ask it again? And don't ask me to go into my trash pile and find that email, because I can't. Anyway, neither here nor there. Man, first of all, was created to have dominion over the creation. In Genesis 1:26 it says, "Then God said, let us make man in our image according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle." That's all four-footed beasts. "Over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." So over all the earth, that's the plants, the trees, the forests, whatever you want to call it. So there's the first statement of our having dominion. Dominion, what does dominion mean? Well, it means we're to subordinate and to rule over all of creation. That's it. We're supposed to dominate it in a protective, benevolent way. Not the way it's being done now. We were created with the task of tending to the creation. In Genesis 2:5 and 6, it says, "There was no man to till the ground." That was a need that hadn't been filled yet in the creation, and yet all the creatures had been created, including man. There is an added implication that we must take from this verse, that man was not simply to have dominion over the animals, but over all of nature. Genesis 2:5 and 6 says we were to tend to the plant life as well. In Genesis 2:15, it says that Adam was placed in the garden to tend it, or to cultivate it. The Garden of Eden was not created for man to live in, to sit in his chaise lounge in the shade of the afternoon and eat the fruit that fell off the trees that were above him. I don't know if man worked a 40-hour week before the fall. I bet there are a lot of people out there listening to this wish we're back to a 40-hour week. But all I can tell you is, regardless how many hours Adam and Eve worked, they did work 6 days. Just like the example God set in the creation. 6 days He created, 1 day He rested. So it wouldn't have been exhaustive work, but it would have been good physical work. to tend to that garden. The assumption of this verse is that the earth as it lies doesn't lie as it should. Fields must be cleared of stones, rivers must be hemmed in by dikes, their waters must be diverted to moisten dry and arid soil. That doesn't mean of necessity that we may use and abuse the creation. We're to tend it, to take care of it. Second thing I want to point out is that Adam and Eve were created as co-regents with God. We were created to rule the creation as God's placeholders. Now there are two distortions of this concept of dominion having that I have found. You may find more. The first one is fragmentized dominion. What does that mean? Humanity is collectively the dominion haver. All 7 billion of us, we're the dominion havers of the creation. However, some want more dominion than others. They want to be rulers and controllers and dominant over other dominion havers. They want more land. They want more property. They want more goods. They want more cattle and all the rest of it. This fractional or piecemeal approach to dominion having has led to lots of evils from which we shall not soon escape. One of these evils is the evil of stark individualism in the matter of dominion having. In the individualistic view, in our cultural mandate in the West, it is assumed that the individual man is the unit by which the subjugation is to take place. I don't believe that's true. I believe we are all responsible. In this atomized view, each individual man considered it his God-given business to subdue a tract as big as he can control, and then force his neighbors to abide by and put a fence around it. I'm going to get all the land I can. I'm going to put a fence around it, and I'm going to drive out anybody who wants in on it. Now, we do have property rights. We're stuck with them for right now because we're not understanding dominion having. For instance, I've got locks on my door, front door and the back door. I've got chairs inside the house. So if you break into my house, I'm going to use one of those chairs, turn it into a weapon. Here's how you will remember fragmentized dominion having. Get all you can all you get, and then sit on the can. That's fragmentized dominion having, and it's not right. We should have open hands to other people. Unauthorized dominion having too. And that's the abusive domination of family members by the head of the home. Wives and children, if that's the case. Sometimes it's the wife dominating everybody else. Or the children. Everyone has a responsibility to care for the other, and no one is under anyone else's domination the way the Bible describes it. The second one is slavery. Yeah, that's an abuse of dominion having. In the biblical vision of the nature of humanity, all men and women are created in the image of God and are, for that reason, intended for dominion having. Every person is the subject of this vice-regency, and no person is to be the object of it. Slavery happens if and when, and only if and when, man increases the biblical catalog of those to be subdued, so that now it includes also their fellow dominion havers. So all you have to do to enslave somebody is change their category, that they're not actually dominion havers, they are to be subdued and controlled by you. If men desire to make slaves of their fellow men, they must, however, first remove them from the company of the dominion havers. To make a slave of a fellow image bearer of God is a contradiction in terms. So what you have to do is say, he's not really human. And when the Africans first started turning to Christ, they wanted to evangelize all of Africa, but they wouldn't go to the pygmies of the Ituri rainforest or eastern Cameroon because they didn't think they were human. The reason the conquistadors and the priests of the Catholic Church, when they went into the New World, they didn't treat the natives as full human beings. They were less than that, and that's why there was so much abuse there. But when they went to Japan and saw the high culture of the Japanese people, they realized these must be humans. So they treated them completely different than they did the Native Americans. To make a slave, you must first reduce him to an animal so that you may be able to live with yourself as you then proceed to dominate him and domesticate him and thereby make him bear your burdens. And we're in an age where people are being treated that way. I mean, human trafficking, slavery. Adam and Eve were responsible to see how they would fit in with God's great chain of being. Dominion having must be responsible dominion having. The subduer must know that he too has a master. You and I have a master we're answering to. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have ordained, what is man that you are mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you visit him? For you have made him a little lower than the angels, and you have crowned him with glory and honor. You have made him to have dominion over the work of your hands. You have put all things under his feet, all sheep and oxen, even the beasts of the field, the birds of the air, and the fish of the sea that pass through the paths of the sea. It is not for nothing that the writer of Psalm 8 says he is nevertheless under God, in spite of being a co-regent with God as a dominion haver. The dominion haver is also under dominion to the archetypal dominion haver, and that's God. As we look down at creation and our own dominion having, we must remember to look up to the one for whom we are stewards and are accountable to him, and will answer to him when he asks us, hey, what'd you do with my whales? And we can't get by with saying, well, what whales? Because he knows. We care for the whales, we care for the dolphins, we care for the fish of the sea and the animals. We want to treat them with some respect, even if we eat some of them. I've tried vegan eating. It's hard work. It can be done, but it's hard work. And sometimes you drive past In-N-Out and you think, man, no one would catch me going into In-N-Out and getting a burger. Double, animal style, fries and a Coke. I wouldn't get caught. Maybe. And it's not against the law. God's or man's. We are accountable to God for our dominion having and how we treat the creation that he put under our care. All of humanity is responsible to God as stewards of his creations. In the Christian vision, all men are made in the image of God. That's called the imago Dei to theologians. Imago Dei is a Latin term, means image of God. Every man is the subject of this assignment, and no man is to be the object of that assignment. When we fail to see the world as God's creation, we end up abusing it. And that's what's happening right now. It has nothing to do with carbon footprints or any of the rest of it. This is God's planet. So when we are taking more than our fair share, abusing the animals for our own cruel pleasure, or throwing trash on the ground for someone else to pick up, let's remember Psalm 24:1. And I'll stop with this. The earth is the Lord's and all its fullness, the world and those who dwell therein. It's all his. So let's remember that when we think of our purpose here on earth. We're dominion havers. We're not here to cut down our carbon footprint, although that wouldn't do any harm. But that's not our purpose. Our purpose is care for this creation that belongs to God, and he's going to be holding us accountable for it. So until next time, look around and see what God has made, and see what we've made of what God has made. Remember to subscribe, check the like button if you liked it, and I will see you next time when we get back into the creation. We're going to create humanity now. Until then, God bless you.